How's it going, guys? It's Ralph here from Beyond the Huddle. Welcome to our weekly altcoin forecast. As always, we'll start off by recapping what we talked about Bitcoin yesterday. Then we'll move on to some altcoins, and I'll also be breaking down a new way we want to start doing things that will hopefully be more engaging and more for finding coins who will actually rally rather than just saying, oh, I'm bearish Bitcoin, so I'm just going to straight up be bearish this altcoin. Okay, guys, so as always, we want to always take a look at Bitcoin first, know what it's doing, and that will then transfer over into the analysis that we want to make in the altcoins. So let me explain how we're going to start to do these things now. And this is going to be drastically different than before, because before, essentially, we had just this purple line right here, and we were saying, as long as I don't go above the purple line at 37,100 to 36,300, I didn't want to be long-term bullish Bitcoin again, right? However, now what I want to do is add a second level for short-term bullishness. So the idea would be, I want to capture the upside in the altcoins only when Bitcoin is short-term bullish. Because I don't want to trade Bitcoin if it's not at least long-term bullish, which makes sense, right? Bitcoin doesn't have as much volatility as the altcoins, so a short-term bullish move for Bitcoin might be, depending on the volatility of the market, it could be a 10% or 15% move. That, to me, doesn't excite me. I'm not going to make, I will make good money because I have a big account, but I'm not going to make the type of money that I want, right? I'd rather search for those 60, 30% moves, and you're going to get those when Bitcoin is long-term bullish, right? When you have those multi-month bullish trends in Bitcoin. However, as people have noticed, sometimes a 3% move higher on Bitcoin or 5 or 6% move higher on Bitcoin causes a 60 or 70 or 100 or 200% move on the altcoins. And that's exactly the thing that I want to start taking advantage of, because I noticed today that there was some altcoins. For example, if I come here, we take a look at this coin here, this ASX, I think it's called. So I noticed that a coin like ASX, it's actually pumped 930%, while Bitcoin's been in a downtrend, right? Bitcoin's been downtrending. Well, actually, Bitcoin's been consolidating. So I know for a fact that when Bitcoin pumps right here, well then that leads to a huge move in those altcoins, and that's what I mean by I want to start taking advantage of these moves differently instead of the current method that I had, which was, oh, I'm not above the purple line in Bitcoin, so let me just not worry about any altcoins at all, right? That's kind of what I talked about in Ethereum a long time ago, like two weeks ago I think it was, where Bitcoin peaked in April right here, and then it dropped, and then while Bitcoin retraced 20-something% right here, well, Ethereum went off for 100%, right? Ethereum doubled in that same exact price. So right around here, Bitcoin went up, or Ethereum went up 124%, the same exact time that Bitcoin was retracing right here. Now, I didn't take advantage of that Ethereum, because even if I knew that Bitcoin was going to retrace, I knew it was going to be long-term bullish, and that's exactly my point. So now I'm going to start to try and see if I can exploit this idea of short-term bullish Bitcoin can lead to some explosive move in these alts, that I don't always have to be long-term bullish Bitcoin, long-term bullish alts. So with that being said, guys, currently, the way it currently is, since we're below this red zone, that's my short-term bullish zone. If we break above it, we'll be short-term bullish. That means I'm not interested in buying any altcoins, okay? But stay tuned, because we're going to go over the altcoin index, and we'll also be going over how we would handle XYZ coins if we can get above this short-term bullish level on Bitcoin. So, yep, let's get to it. Okay, guys, so now that we understand that we need to be short-term bullish Bitcoin in order to buy these altcoins, then now we want to take a look at something called the altcoin index. I'm sure you guys have heard about these indexes before, the Bitcoin index and so on. So here it's total 2 divided by BTC USDT, and then we want to go ahead and analyze sort of like what the market as a whole is thinking, right? So where is it likely going to go? And when you do it that way, it actually matches exactly what Bitcoin should do, right? So when we look at Bitcoin here, we take a look at the chart side by side. You can see that Bitcoin is almost at its yearly open, while the altcoins are well above the yearly open. This is actually a very, very key thing, because I keep talking about the S&P/DT, and that means that if Bitcoin were to fall to this previous all-time high here, like I've been talking about, so we have some sort of support at like 25K potential, and then at 20K, although it's going to be below its yearly open, right? That puts us in a bearish sell mode for like any type of entries. Well, even when that happens with Bitcoin, the actual entire altcoin market, most of them should still be above the yearly opens, and that's huge, because that means don't buy the dip on Bitcoin. You'd be off buying the dips on altcoins, because they would be retracing into some sort of the discount, right? So while Bitcoin is literally bearish, they would be altcoins would generally still be bullish. Now, when we take a look at the quarterly, let's go on the weekly so we can see where the quarterly opens. We're below the quarterly on Bitcoin. Again, we're short-term bearish because we're below the red. And now we can see as well that we're below the quarterly on most altcoins. Okay, so in that case, everything's fine in the world. You know, the altcoin index just matches Bitcoin, and that's exactly how it should be. So how far down can we go? That's the question that everyone should be asking. Well, in that case, what you'd want to do is go to your lower time frames, try to find some sort of demand zones, try to find some sort of discounts. Quite at the moment, I don't see any. You can see right here that we're trying to cross back above the weekly open. But I don't have any, again, unless we fall all the way down to this weekly demand or some sort of support right here. There's definitely not any discount levels that we can choose from. So because this is a composite of all the altcoins, I don't really tend to go below the weekly chart. The 3-day chart, I've never really looked at it on this, but below the weekly chart, I wouldn't spend too much time there, just to get, again, you want to use this to get your main general bias, and then you want to compare it to individual altcoins, and that's what we're going to do for the rest of the video here, because the idea is, like I mentioned, right, if we were to be short-term bullish Bitcoin, which we're not, then you'd want to find coins that are not below the quarterly open, right? So let's go take a look at some of that, right? So in that case, let's go here, and like I said, so AXS, I've been saying it wrong this entire time. So on AXS, then we have right here, right? You see, you're above the quarterly open. So this one is not doing what the index is doing. That shows underlying strength in the premise of the coin, in the fundamentals of the coin. So you're above the yearly open, exactly how you should be, because most of them are. But then why is this one above its quarterly? So you have to start wondering what made this one so incredibly bullish. And there's more like this, right? So we can find on comp USDT, same thing, right? This one is actually retesting the quarterly open right now as we speak. Now, I cannot be a buyer of these altcoins because I'm currently short-term bearish Bitcoin as well. But if we were short-term bullish Bitcoin, look what happens. I would have been short-term bullish Bitcoin. Again, when I say short-term, I'm not interested in trading these small ranges on Bitcoin. So if we go, let's go on this daily chart right here. I'm not interested in trading these short-term moves here that are nice and compact in this consolidation, but I can take advantage of those short-term movements here, and look what happened in comp. Had I taken advantage of that short-term bullishness, again, I'm not saying I would have caught the exact low, that's not going to happen, but you can see comp went up 169%, 170%. So maybe I would have caught, I don't know, somewhere around here, right? Somewhere around here, maybe 70, 60%. That's still really nice, right? I'm out of the market because I'm not long-term bullish Bitcoin, but if I can be short-term bullish Bitcoin and get and take advantage of these, quite decently sized moves on these altcoins, well, why not? I know there's another one called Alpha, so let's take a look at that one. Again, same thing, right? We're sitting right on the quarterly open. That's vastly different than the altcoin index that we're well below it. But again, I'm not going to be buying it at the moment because we're short-term bearish Bitcoin. And I'll show you one more. There was one called Tomo. I believe that's the one. And would you look at that? You're way above its quarterly. So the quarterly open right here, you're currently 30% above it, right? And it went up to as much as 60% above it. And when did it do so? When Bitcoin was, doing its little games right here. You see this big wick up, big bullish candle, and then another wick. And then now the past 2 weeks, we've been moving lower on Bitcoin. And it's no surprise that now Tomo is retracing. So that's what I'm thinking, guys. There's going to be a fine line between me being short-term bullish Bitcoin, and when that happens, again, I keep reiterating it because I've never done this before. I want to make sure we're all on the same page, and we will be looking at coins that are bullish based on S&P/DT. So we'll always look at the index. In this case, the index is bearish, and we want to be looking at individual coins that show underlying strength against the index, and that's the key. Underlying strength against the index. So guys, if you find some value in this, please let me know, and give me a thumbs up if you'd like. Subscribe to the channel, turn the little bell icon on, because there'll be many and plenty of videos just like this, because we want to start taking advantage of these moves higher. We have a great edge in this market. I don't see why we should just be sitting back and not taking advantage of it. So with that being said, guys, I'll talk to you soon.